my guilt, state of corruption. Today we're going to go after the largest money launderer in this country that has been weaponized to attack whistleblowers and citizens in this country. That's been used to money launder the money of the corrupt, the deep state. Now you think about that. These people are stealing billions, and believe me, they are. Where are they putting their money? How do they turn around and disguise it? Because anything over $9,999 gets reported to the IRS, right? You can check that. So how are they moving billions? Because the IRS is in on it. You got it? Can't be another way. Could they be that criminal? Well, let me start by reminding you of where my roots are from. I only built the largest volume mortgage brokerage firm in United States. Right, according to Fannie Mae. None of them dispute that. In fact, you've seen me confront Sununu with Governor Sununu, with the money laundering, with the evidence. Turns out he's part of the deep state. Got his guy Jerry Little, banking department, not to audit. Guess what? The banks that are owned by the deep state and controlled, including drug cartels. Banks that are holding this money and wiring it offshore and laundering it under the eyes of the IRS, under the eyes of the banking department. Now, what if I told you I have a leading figure in the deep state? Listen, I name names and I don't wear a mask. And my name is Gil and not Q. Because I'm going to be in your face. You want to fight? You've got to be in a fight. You want to win a fight? This is what you do. Ready? So let's go through this video. I'm going to show you evidence. Evidence that the IRS, who was controlled by Bill Shaheen and Senator Jean Shaheen. Let's not forget, Senator Jean Shaheen was a consideration along with Hassan to be the vice president candidate with Biden. And what I'm going to tell you here today, I want you to know that Biden is the deep state, as well as the Shaheens and Hassan. So I'm not telling you to vote for Biden. I'm saying he should be in jail for treason. But don't think that President Trump doesn't know the truth either, because I gave it to them. And I'm going to prove that to you too. But let's step through this in order. The IRS leveraged me for my silence with the control of Bill Shaheen and Senator Jean Shaheen and Alex Walker of the deep state and all those law firms. Every lawyer that handled anything to do with me in those law firms needed a release. Everything to do with the IRS, including the IRS, wanted a release, including their managers, the Department of Revenue, the whole laundering system. You get it? So that's proof. It's in the settlement agreement. Now the FBI has that, and I showed that to you. That means the IRS wanted it released, and so did Bill Shaheen, as his wife is still running for senator. Now, what I find is that the IRS, TIGTA, the criminal division of the Treasury who investigates the IRS, ran a 3-year operation, Tom Morley, with Tim Campus. Tim Campus was the adjutant general of the Department of the Treasury, TIGTA. The top guy. We have him on tape, both of them on tape, saying they have moles in my company.
Good times, Tim. This is going to be your taste. I had to call him, Chris, and I'm going to tell him, like, we have a plan. We have an undercover here.
And they did. And those moles took instructions from Alex Walker and Bill Shaheen, as did they. They protected the IRS. They protected the corruption of the people who were using it, which were deep state members. Multiple Morrison Mahoney, they have that evidence. My law firm who represented Liberty Mutual, who represented the clients. And you've seen that video. That's a conflict of interest. Hands down. With a multi-billion-dollar law firm. Okay? That's the effort and the expense that they did to protect the opening to the money laundering system of this country. Which is why Clinton's most trusted allies, the Shaheens, were guarding the door. Which is why Maxwell was found in New Hampshire, the international money launderer with Epstein. Listen, the world's pretty big. New Hampshire's a small state. But she was there. And I told you she was going to be there. She was there under the protection of Shaheen. She was leveraging them with their money. Now she gets picked up by the same FBI I told you was corrupt and had all this evidence, by the same people out of the same office, covering and protecting the IRS. As much as these people are pedophiles, that's the nature of who they are. They're the same people, the pharmaceutical companies that'll poison your children. How many people, how many children from the corruption in family court turn to drugs and suicide? Where are those numbers, right? But this is why. We have them. I have them. I have a copy of the tape done last December. Jeremiah Devlin. Right, he works for the IRS Criminal Division. I had an appointment with him 6 years ago. His words on the tape. I'll show you the video. You can listen to it. His recording. They didn't expect me to be recording. Wrong guess. Well, you only threaten my children, telling me where they live. Right, tell me my son plays basketball. See, these are who these criminals are. Right? This is who they are. They extort you. They threaten to murder you. Even my children. You don't think they have something to hide. Now think about this. All of this is with the U.S. Attorney Llewellyn. Inventory sheet, you've seen it, right? How does he explain it? What about the murder attempts? What about the videos of the murder attempts? What about the recordings of the hitman? What about the settlement agreement? What about the fact that you know Morris Mahoney represents Liberty Mutual? They're 100 feet that way from you, right? So what did you do? You all covered up. And they're covering it up because there is their money, and that is way into all this. Now, do you think that's important? The Chinese do. That's right. I had a meeting to meet with aides from President Trump. I met with Epoch Times. Wow. The most conservative newspaper, but most trusted media entity in this country by President Trump. Quoted exactly by President Trump. But who are they? These are the people I met with. They were awfully interested in my evidence, right? In fact, the first meeting I had with Stephen Gregory, who is the publisher of Epoch Times, right? Showed him my evidence, the whole thing, except for he knew exactly who I was. You know what else in the room? 8 Chinamen. Right. I counted them. And then Gregory gave me a card. His card, I'll show it to you. And he writes a number on it. You'll see the number of Patrick Howley. Patrick Howley's going to meet with me. He takes a train from Connecticut that night. The next day, we met at the Trump International Hotel. Wow. And I have the evidence, and I'm talking to him. He's a little squirrely. Little guy. Reminds me of the flying monkey in Oz. Now, he was nervous. And he wanted to set that appointment. And we talked, and he went to call me back. They wanted to have me sit and do a 3-hour interview in camera about my evidence. But the plan, and you'll see a little 5-minute clip of that 3-hour interview of me saying we got to go to the Department of Justice. These witnesses, such as Erin Day, such as Audra Toop, such as Brian Toomey, Kerry Lemieux, and several more, need protection. See, that was the cheese they used to bring me in, to sit down with them. The only thing I wouldn't agree to is that I would have to have a copy of the video. So we videotaped them while they were videotaping me. And you'll love this. The whole film crew, they were Chinese. Right. Found that a little unusual. But Howley kept focusing in on the IRS. Drug cartels, murders, political corruption. No. IRS. I want that. You want that. Because the president wants that too, isn't that so? Why did he want it? Because he knows it's money laundering. This is a game of leverage. You know why no one goes to jail? Because they collect leverage. You know why Trump isn't coming forwards and putting them all in jail? Because I've been doing this too long. Because he's being leveraged. But that doesn't mean they don't want the information. And neither do the Chinese. Anti-communist. Right. Let's take a look. Who owns Epoch Times? Anti-communist Chinese. Oh, no shit. In fact, it's a religious group. Falun Gong. I'm going to have you Google Epoch Times. Anti-communist Chinese. Right. They want my evidence. In fact, the Washington Times, another conservative newspaper, sent them an appointment. You know what they wanted? That information on the IRS too. Guess what? They're owned by an anti-communist Chinese group. Right. The most conservative newspapers are trying to get us asses in a war with China. They want my evidence. Why? Because it's extortion. They can extort these people because it is the truth. Let's look at Howley. He worked for Epoch Times. You might remember that Steve Bannon, not that long ago, got arrested. Before that, and I'll show you a Twitter post, because I Googled it, Howley turns around and says he works for a Chinese dissident named KWOK. He's being controlled by the anti-communists. They're going to get you in a war. Really? Who did you work for? You work for Bannon, and you work for Epoch Times, which is owned by an anti-communist Chinese group. Isn't that so? Both religious groups. Hey, that's the thing. If anything that gets you in a war is religion. And the first thing you want to be in a war with China, right? Because we did so well during the virus. And let's just say this was intentionally the virus. They got a good look at how we would act in a time of crisis. You know what I say? Not well. You couldn't even find a roll of fucking toilet paper. That's how well we did. You see, they recorded that. And these entities are persuading you, just as the media is persuading you. A couple of countries own the general media. They all know the truth. They're dividing you, which is the operative word, division. How do you think we're having riots? How have you seen on Facebook black people attacking white people? You know what you do? When you're focusing on corruption and you are heading that way with police corruption, let's change the game. And that's what they did. And division is always their methodology. So we have the IRS. We have them. We show that they are money laundering. The banking departments in your state too. But The thing with New Hampshire, it was the porthole. It was well protected with Shaheen. Do you know what Durham was working on? You know those people who arrested Maxwell? He was investigating the Boston FBI with offices in New Hampshire. You got it? For corruption and ties to organized crime. They are organized crime. You got it? So Durham went to find their money offshore, and he did. You're welcome. Now I'm showing you how it's done within the state. You get them all. You find their money. One last thing. The text messages. I have another case number with TIGTA. I've got 3 case numbers. The criminal division of the IRS, right? Believe me. You give your case number to find themselves, which is a problem we're all having. Because the people you look for help are part of this corruption. But I want you to see a copy of the phone. When you see the case number, Marco Sorelli, agent for TIGTA. Plantation, Florida, so he says. Except for later on the phone, he's telling me that he can't take my evidence. I can look at it, but I can't take it. Why? Because it would incriminate him too. Does he know campus? Yes. What was his questions to me? Because he only had 3 questions. Does Trump know? Does Trump know? Does Trump know? Yes, he knows. And you are going to be leveraged. But is it going to be the betterment for the people? Is it going to open the door to find all the corrupt? Well, I don't think so. It might be some friends in there. But I want you to look at my last text to him, where I said that his buddy is threatening to my children. And they threaten to murder my children. And I'm asking for his help. And you'll see that text. These are the people who they are. They'll turn around, and all they wanted was the information on how it was going to be used.
You see all these emails? The emails and the settlement offers?
And who offered you a settlement?
Liberty International, the lawyers of Morris Mahoney. Now, Morris Mahoney pretended to be my lawyers to get through statute of limitations. That's what Marisa will tell you. You ready? They offered me $50 million on the settlements. Let's take a look at that book.
I mean, in what context did they offer you a settlement? You were suing them?
What they did was, by covering all that up, I wasn't suing them, I was trying to put them in jail. I was using Morris Mahoney, and you'll hear recordings saying, because they could get me a case with the FBI. That's what they were for. They sat on it to get past that statute of limitations. It turns out Liberty, who offered the $50 million, is their biggest client in the world. Okay? So they are on it, and that settlement is signed. Now think about this. Who's on that settlement? Bill Shaheen. Who's on it? The banking department, the banking commission, the Department of Revenue. Every lawyer that I had through the divorce, through the business, all requesting their releases, including the IRS.
Okay, so just go back to this. So how do they offer you a settlement if you're not suing them?
There it is. Why? How about this? I didn't have to sue them. I just was going to put them in jail.
So they preemptively offered you.
What happened was, when they turned around and I caught them, they wanted me to go, and I have recordings, Nick Alexander, to go to a hotel room, never to meet all the other people involved. And they wanted to settle. And I said, I'm not doing it. Simple put. And you'll see the emails to verify that. You ready? I said, I will not give you a release. It wasn't about the money, it was about the releases. And you'll see coinciding emails that saying, I wouldn't take it. You'll see a tape from Married from the Mob. The woman was there to offer me $50 million, and she admitted it.
Just to be clear, in offering you a $50 million settlement, who specifically offered you that?
Liberty. Here it is. Okay, now understand this. what they do is, they wanted me to set this, what it is a stipulation and confidentiality agreement. Don't tell anybody. Now let's take a look, right? The wife's attorney, my attorney, all these attorneys. Look. Matt Kozel, Alex Walker wants a release. Justus, Maria, all these people want a release. And what for? All right? Markman, Divine Miller, Lisa Tracy. She was my controller, the one that was working for Shaheen. Tim Powell. He was the head of the IRS from Portland who told me that it was Gene Shaheen. Think about that. His name's on that release. They know he told me.
So who's Liberty?
As an insurer, you ever heard of Liberty Mutual?
Yeah.
You know who the parent company of Liberty Mutual is? Liberty.
So the parent company of Liberty Mutual offered you.
Yeah. It is Bill Shaheen, by the way. I'm sorry.
They wanted you to sign a contract saying that you wouldn't talk about this kind of corruption anymore, this drug running and stuff like that.
Right. All done.
And
So I could
this company, Liberty, was going to pay you $50 million to get you to stop talking about this.
settle. Well, settle, not just stop talking, settle for any potential claims. So, well, and they say that. A settlement, a global settlement to aim, and look at all the people on this. These are witnesses. Look, William McCully, Divine Middleman, Wiggins and North, Internal Revenue, Banking Department, DRA, Friedman.
So these are witnesses for who?
And it's signed. No, these are all people asking, this is companies asking for releases. Every attorney, every accountant, every single one needed a release. You know why? It was one giant operation. How it got giant? Because every time they wanted me to settle, I said no.
Mike Gill, State of Corruption.